The victory of Arrested Development at the Emmys that first year was a shock.
Was it year 1 or 2?
Year 1.
Was it?
Here was Arrested Development, a new show, low ratings, critics loved it, but it came into the Emmys as the underdog, to put it mildly, and it won Best Directing early in the night. It won Best Writing. And then as the final envelope of the night opens, it pulls off this miracle and wins Best Comedy Series. What did you think?
I thought it was pretty great for such an underdog and something that was sorely needed, because we'd sort of, you know, there was blood in the water from the very get-go. We knew that what we were doing was something very, very specific, and oftentimes that's anathema to, you know, broadcast television. You really want to appeal to as many people as possible. That's the name of the game. Whereas you know, if you're on Netflix or on one of the cable channels now, you're not mandated to appeal to such a large number. So the content can be more specific and to a lot of people a lot more satisfying. So to have that kind of mainstream success or profile, we thought might be helpful. Turned out not to be, and we were gone, you know, not too soon after that. But we were grateful that we did get the time, at least, that we did get. We weren't even sure if we were going to get the back 9 in the first season. So this was great, and the Golden Globe attention was fantastic, and you know, and people like yourself, you know, talking so positively about the show was really, really helpful.
This was a pioneering show in many ways. It kind of lays the trail for shows like The Office, Parks and Rec, Modern Family, which have shaky cameras. There's a kind of a quirky reality to it. There's sometimes a talk to the camera, a cutaway. But it introduced a certain sensibility of the sitcom that we hadn't seen before. And I remember when I first saw Arrested Development going, what is this? And it was certainly an acquired taste. And then once you get it, you go, oh, and you go for the ride. Yeah. What did you think when you first saw this scripts for this show?
Well, I mean, it's sort of a long, boring answer about that. I'll try to give you an abbreviated version. You know, I was kind of on the outside looking in on this transition into single-camera comedy, because I'd done so much multi-camera work that it was difficult for me to get work in the single-camera stuff. And that was unfortunate, because I really wanted to stay employed and also stay in television comedy because I like it so much. When I saw the script for this, it was even a step past that. It was sort of almost a documentary feel. So it was single camera, but even more so. It was sort of news gathering. And so I thought my multi-camera baggage they're not going to want that on this, because they're clearly trying to do something different. I was fortunate enough to have a good audition experience and become a part of it. The format itself, though, was I don't think was necessarily pioneering on our part. I think, you know, the show was influenced by a lot of things before it, just like maybe we had a touch to do with things that have come. But everybody borrows from everybody, and certainly Curb Your Enthusiasm was around before us, and that was a huge trendsetter. And even the British Office was around at the same time. So we're lucky to be included in those types of shows, and lucky for me, it was my sensibility, what made me laugh, and so maybe that's what made me kind of guess right on the audition.
When people ask you about this show, what is Arrested Development, and you have to give a simple answer, is it simply the ultimate dysfunctional family that once had money, but ... How do you sum up this oddball group of people?
Yeah, it's, you know, at its core, it's just a family comedy. They're just a broken family, and just the comedic taste, the sensibility, the tone is very, very specific. And you either love it or you hate it. It's either your sense of humor or it's not. So fortunately for us, the people who did like it end up in Los Angeles for the most part. I mean, people in the middle of the country did not really take to this, but those of us who needed to stay employed in the business, it was embraced by those who worked in this town, and it really helped a lot of us, certainly myself, to continue working.
Your character, Michael, strives so heroically to keep this family together, to try to reverse its fortunes. Why does he try so hard?
He is burdened with sort of a traditional family obligatory pull, I suppose, and he just doesn't want to see them hurt, I suppose. It's fueled a lot by having a son. Maybe if he didn't have a son, he'd be able to separate a little bit more. But he recognizes that he's allowed to hate his mother and father or dislike them, but those at the end of the day are his son's grandparents too. So he wants to sort of be unbiased, you know, when he starts talking about them with him, and he tries to keep it all on the up and up, and maybe deny the fact that they're so evil, you know.
Your character's supposed to be the sane one in the group, but he's pretty crazy himself, isn't he?
Yeah, and these 7 years you will see they've not been too kind to Michael. He's a little bit closer to the rest of his family, and he's banged up quite a bit, and he's just trying to avoid some of those same instincts and get himself back on his feet.
The setup of the season 4 with Netflix, as I understand it, is we're going to see an episode that does catch us up from 2006 to today, and then maybe another episode that moves us forward. Is that the right way to set it up?
Not really, and in fact, even referring to it as season 4 might give you an expectation that might not be met, because they're separate episodes that are dedicated, each one to a particular character. So they may look like the Fox shows, but they don't deliver in the same way on purpose, because of the unique platform that is Netflix. All these episodes get released on the same day, and you can watch them in any order, just like an album. So that informed Mitch's efforts as he started to kind of map out the plot and how all these episodes would sort of braid to create this singular act of a 3-act story that will play out over the next few years. Whether the acts 2 and 3 will be in a movie or more Netflix stuff, I don't know, but it's definitely a different and unique version of Arrested Development.